Bourbon, Broncos, and no BS. Fans, brews, and Broncos news. Good evening, Broncos country. Welcome to another edition of Bourbon, Broncos, and no BS. My name's Kevin. We got Jared here with us. We're also maybe, hopefully, possibly going to get David. He's having some technical issues, but we will get that under control here shortly. But either way, Jared, you and I were rocking the Broncos outfits, the sweaters, all of it. It's all good to go, man. How you feeling, buddy?
Yeah, it's good. We got a Christmas game coming up, which is exciting. Obviously, we'll get more into what this means for us and everything else. But, after a rough Sunday, took me some time to kind of think about and digest before I came on the show to give you guys my thoughts. And I think I'm ready to give them.
Well, let's hear it, man. We talked about it a lot last night on the post-game podcast there. But definitely, we all went into this knowing it was going to be a tough game. And just kind of like what we've said, the Broncos need to show up to play, right? And I think it was very clear that between offense, defense, special teams, and coaching, the Broncos did not show up to play. Everything from bad penalties to coaching calls to dropped passes, missed tackles. It just nothing was going in our way. And a lot of it was kind of just self-induced. But, just sitting here, we're 12-3. Right. We're so close to not just winning the AFC West, but number one seed. And we lost, but we're still the number one seed as of right now in the AFC. So how are you feeling about it though, buddy?
Yeah, I think that's the part that I needed to come to realization with. And what I ended up finalizing in my head is, man, we are a spoiled group. And I mean that in the best possible way. As Broncos country, we're spoiled, and it's awesome to be spoiled, and it's great to be spoiled right now. And so how upset I was feeling about the loss last week, it really just, 3 days ago, it really came down to we're just spoiled. And I like it because we have high expectations of what the team's supposed to be doing. And yeah, the team definitely had an off day, and I think you're right. I don't think it wasn't that we were ready. We didn't show up ready to play. I think Jacksonville was playing for a lot more, which is, something to be said about that. But there's also this level of the ball did not, we talk about the ball bouncing. It's a game of inches, right? The ball didn't bounce in our favor in anything. And, missed tackles are tough, and we got to fix that shit, right? And then a couple of the coaching calls, some of those play calls, a little bit rough. Bo was off. Let's be honest. Let's call it spade a spade. Bo was not playing to his high potential. The receivers were dropping the ball left and right. And so there was a level of nothing went our way. And we still kept it a decent game, right? Against one of the league's top scoring offenses. And they showed that they're a top scoring offense in a lot of ways against the number one defense. The biggest one obviously being that they scored 4 out of 5 times to the red zone, scored a touchdown 4 out of 5 times to the red zone. Well, we're supposed to be the number one red zone defense in the league. And we have to look at that and figure out what the heck happened. And a lot of that comes down to Herbert is for real. And I don't think anybody ever, we talked about it. He's either on or he's off, and he was on. He showed up ready to play, and he was hitting everything. He was absolutely destroying us left, right, and center. Everything that Vance Joseph threw at him from blitz packages, he was following, he was figuring it out. He was getting the ball out of his hands quickly. They prepped for us very well. And that's what's going to happen when we get into the playoffs. And we have to be prepared for that. It's nice that we saw that. It's nice that we saw that in a loss. I'll be honest with you. And this is kind of my big scheme thing on this. It's nice that we saw that in a loss because eventually we're going to be able to see that and we have to know what it feels like. So I'm taking this as a positive, and I'm going to try to spin this as a positive. This is what the Broncos needed going into the playoffs. We still have the number one in the AFC. We're going against Kansas City on their third string quarterback next week. I don't know if Minshew's going to be back or not. I'd have to look it up real quick. I'm sure that's hoping I jump.
He done.
Yeah, no, he gone. So we either on their third string quarterback. We saw what the Tennessee Titans did to him, so I think we should be okay. And then it's going to come down to like, oh man, this sucks because we have the Chargers coming in, and that might be the not just for the AFC West, for the AFC. That might be the game. So we got to get our shit together, and I think a loss is kind of going to humble us a little bit. You saw what happened to New England when they lost. I think they lost to the Bills, and it kind of lit a fire up under their butts, and it worked. So I'm hoping that it works for us.
Agreed. You said it right. Like the Broncos, it's a very humbling experience, and a team that goes through this, they're on 11-game win streak, then they lose on their home turf. They break that 12-game win streak at home. And they break that, right? You could either see that as a man, throw your hands up in the air, like, and if we can't beat the Jaguars at home, how could we beat anyone in the playoffs? Or this is a very humbling moment to say, this is what's going to happen to you in the playoffs if you don't do those little things right. And I mean, everybody was to blame for this one. Even me. I said it last night. I'll say it again. The missed field goal, 50% Will Lutz fault, 50% my fault. Because I said the stupidest thing that you could say before the ball goes through completely. I said, oh, that's good before and then I heard the doink as soon as I said that. And so I'll take credit for that one there, guys. But just I also, all these little things.
I also want to say it's part Spotty's fault, and he said it. I'm sad that he's not here tonight because this is the first game he's gone to all year. So that's also an important thing that we got to blame Spotty for as well.
Yeah. Jags had 3 delay of games that the ref let them get. So here's the thing, James. Look, we could sit here and talk a lot about the refs, this, refs, that. But the Broncos are the number 1 penalized team in the league, and yet we've been finding ways to win, right? But what we saw yesterday was Sunday, we weren't finding ways to win. So yeah, there's always going to be some questionable calls, right? That's just part of the game. So do you let that define you, or do you let that say, like, we're going to find ways to win despite that? The Broncos have really done a really good job of just working through the issues. They've gotten better since the bye week. I mean, 6 penalties is still nothing compared to the 10, 11, 12 we were seeing almost every single week before the bye week. But the fact of the matter is just the Broncos did not show up. And so it doesn't matter. To me, if it was the most perfectly officiated game, the Broncos would still have lost, because I just don't see how, where the refs caused 20 points to go in the Jags' favor. I just don't see that.
I do think we were 2 penalties and 2 catches away from being in that game.
Yeah.
4 total plays, I think was the difference. And I think the penalties, obviously, again, we could blame the refs. And there was a couple drives that they kept alive that they should not have kept alive. And even the announcers were like, oh, come on, man. And it is what it is, and there's nothing we could do. And they end up scoring on those drives, but we also had a chance to stop them on those drives. So like it's not, then the other one is 2 missed tackles. 2 missed tackles and 2 penalties away from being in that game. And the 2 missed tackles were huge. And, the Riley, 2 of them on Riley Moss on those out. And it was almost the exact same play. He tried to break on it. The guy ended up, stepping to the inside. Great athletic play from the receiver there. But, I honestly, if we're going to have a game where it just doesn't click and everybody has a bad game, and it's not just onesie twosies, it was everybody. You said it. This is not a one person. Like, we cannot pin this on literally any single entity. The whole team had a bad game. And if we're going to have a bad game, I'd rather it be before the playoffs.
Yep, exactly. One thing that I noticed, because going into the game, I was saying if the Broncos could really shut down ETN and shut down the run game, put the game in Trevor Lawrence's hand, I'm thinking the Broncos defense, like, they're going to be able to shut that down. But the Broncos more or less did shut down the run game. But like you mentioned earlier, Trevor Lawrence was just on it, man. And some of it, I got a question. I mean, this is kind of similar to what we saw at the beginning of the Packers game. There were just a lot of guys really open several times. And so I don't know if that's miscommunication. I don't know if that's like play design from the defense or whatever. But there are a number of times still where, yes, Trevor Lawrence is getting the ball out of his hands incredibly quickly, and that's what we're going to expect from every single team we see from here on out. But they were able to just find ways to get guys wide open. Parker Washington, 6 receptions for 145 yards. He absolutely tore up McMillan on the backfield there. McMillan did not have a good day. And so to see their number 3 wide receiver get 145 yards on 6 receptions, That's just a bad stat line, man.
Yeah, and the worst part is like most of the time you're seeing those guys wide open. It was in zone calls, and they just picked apart our zone. As soon as we went into zone defense, they just figured it out, and it was rough. Like we're talking about where the blame is. Vance did not have a good game play calling. There was times that we sent five, they had five, right? We sent six, they kept six, right? And so they had our number, and I think a lot of that is what Vance was or what the Jags and Jacksonville and Trevor Lawrence. Let's give him his credit too. Like
Yeah.
what they saw in the film and what they saw in the game film, and they came out ready to play. And I thought, I did the halftime hash, and I was like, all right, well, this is we're supposed to be this great second half adjustment team, and we have been all year, and we just didn't. We did not second half adjust in that second half. We went down and scored right away, and then it just let them kind of do whatever they wanted. So defensively, yeah, that's rough. And when you don't have a guy like Trevor Lawrence, when you don't have and I'm not blaming Bo in any way, shape, or form, I promise you. But when you're not known to be this offensive, high scoring, can score in 3 plays type of team, going down by 3 scores is not it. Like you just can't do that. We can't have the New York Giants every single week where we're coming back and scoring 30 points in the fourth quarter. Not against a defense like that. Not against a team that's going to be in the playoffs.
Yeah, totally agreed, man. It's very, like we said, we're very humbling. And I want to get you talked about you needed some time to digest and stuff. And I'll share this, leaving the game, and maybe it was the Pat Bryant injury at the very end that kind of just, made it a very somber feeling.
Yeah.
Right. But leaving the stadium, and I'll say, I appreciate the Jags fans that, they could have been cheering and rooting and raving and jumping and cheering, but there was none of that going out of the tunnels. They were very respectful. And they had every right to be, they had every right to be like, we ended the 11-game win streak. We ended the home game win streak. We solidified our spot in the playoffs. Like they had every reason to be amped, but they were incredibly respectful. And so I got to give a tip of the hat to those guys. So I think from the Broncos fans, there was just this feeling of like, man, I hope Pat Bryant's okay. Man, that really sucked. But also, like, there wasn't any panic. There wasn't anyone that was like pissed off. Usually you get that feeling from the crowd of everyone's really let down or angry, but everyone was just kind of just like, let's just get out of here. Let's just go home. That happened, and we want to move on the moment. So sitting here today, like, what are, and we're going to bring David up here in a sec, see if we can get some audio. Mr. David, how you sounding, man?
I don't know. You tell me. Can you hear me?
Yeah, and here we go.
Yes.
We got
Nice and loud.
So,
all right.
We'll let
let's
you get caught up in
go.
the conversation. But Jared, so how are you feeling in this moment? We talked about we're spoiled. We're still number 1 in the AFC, even with a loss here, tied for it with the Patriots there. But what are you feeling in general? Are you angry? Are you just nonchalant? What do you think?
In the moment, of course, I was angry. It was hard not to be. Just considering how it felt like there were, if the Broncos just made 2 or 3 adjustments, that game was totally within reach, and it felt like they just couldn't do it. But of course, time heals all wounds, and a couple of days later, it's like we were due for a letdown performance, and we were. You just can't. 11 wins in a row is ridiculous. 12 win streaks are historic. They're just that rare, and it's not a completely damning thing to say that this team only got to 11 wins. They got to 12 wins. Yeah, they got beat by a quality opponent in the Jaguars, and in years past that would have been reason for panic. This year they've got wins against the Eagles, the Cowboys, the Packers, the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes, the Texans on the road. Under their belts to point to and say, no, this team is battle tested. This team has gutted out tough wins against quality opponents all year long, and they didn't have it in them this one. I will say that it is time to start being a bit more concerned about the defense and how they've been playing. But overall, it's definitely not time for a panic yet.
Well, and you bring up a good point, because I was looking back at the kind of last several games for the Broncos, and they've really started to allow a lot more points, 34, 26, 17, 26, right? And it kind of just, the feel is like these guys are getting way more open. Whatever they're scheming against Vance Joseph, it just seems like it's working for him. Now, what we've seen from these guys, and we have given, the coaching staff credit in the past several weeks of being able to make adjustments in game that really helped them out. But we didn't see any of that this week. Whatever adjustments they tried to make did not work, right? It's almost like the Jaguars were prepared for whatever we were going to adjust to, and they were 1 or 2 steps ahead of us.
Well, they either were prepared for the adjustments or we didn't adjust, and that's what I saw is that we didn't adjust. I don't know if it was a level of personnel, and really, if I'm looking at that defense, the only personnel difference is PJ Locke, and in that aspect, like there's not much at the safety position that you really change scheme wise with the difference, and I really don't like. Yeah, the Brandon Jones and PJ Locke, like the drop offs, probably not it's not as big as like it was like when we lost Pastor Tan, right? So it's interesting to me to see that. Yeah, I just didn't see a lot of adjustments in the second half because we just kind of kept to the zone. I don't know if we were worried about the deep ball or what we were worried to, but it was not a lot of things that we saw that really stopped them. And again, hats off to Trevor Lawrence for being able to find the open receiver every single time.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was just like you're right that maybe I didn't see very many adjustments, but what we did see clearly was that the defensive backfield was struggling with the crowd noise just as much as the offense was. It was just hindering their communication, especially when the Jaguars would send a man in motion because you have to pass off coverage responsibilities when the offense does that. It's really, really hard to do in a stadium that loud. And credit to the crowd, it's what you're supposed to be doing. But that may have had. I just don't know what degree that had an effect on this game because it just doesn't feel like that can account completely for how wide open receivers were at times, and frankly, how ineffective the pass rush seemed after a first quarter where it seemed they could do no wrong. And yeah, they got a couple of quote unquote sacks and yeah, I don't know, guys. It feels like every game I do see Benito get at least one of those. Oh my God, that's a rare pass rush get off. He's just not getting home with them right now, and it's as frustrating for a pass rusher as it is for anybody. But yeah, it is undeniable that from a fan level, he has been less of a presence on games.
Yeah, well, we saw it too. You saw him after the first couple drives where we kind of got him a lot of pressure on him, and it was good. Like we had some good pressure on him. It was the quick passes. It was getting the ball out of his hands quick. It was him rolling out of the pocket to be able to avoid sacks. And the inconsistency in the pass rush doesn't allow us to play pass rush man like straight up. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't allow us to do that. And because of that inconsistency, like what are we going to do? And so, I don't know. Again, I'm not trying to press the like, oh shit button on our defense, and I don't think we're ready to. I think that we still have a very good, capable defensive core. I also want to bring up, David, you mentioned the whole thing of like you saw them being confused, and I saw that too. And there was one play specifically where I think Singleton was just kind of like looking around, like I don't know what we're doing. Like it kind of stayed on him, which was funny. Like the camera stayed on him, and he was like looking around, and they were like, he just did this, like just do what you need to do, right? And like,
right.
Luckily on that play, it wasn't a big play, but you saw it more and more. And I don't think it was a crowd noise. In my, again, humble opinion, that is when you install a new type of defense for a certain team, and you haven't practiced it enough to really understand when you're not going towards your base. If you don't have the same base that you've had the entire season, you try to switch something up. You now have a different type of defense that you want to play against a certain team. And if they haven't practiced it enough, then there's just confusion, or they give you a look that you've never seen before. Then there's confusion, and they're looking at Alex like, hey, man, you're the captain. What are we supposed to do here? And again, the cutoff for the headset cuts off as they get to the line. So all he knows is like he's just supposed to call something. And he might not know. He might just, they may have thrown some stuff at us that they have never done before, they have never seen, and they didn't practice. And he was like, I played cover 2. Like, you know what I mean? It's one of those kind of things.
Yeah. Andrew, says, where's Benito been? And fair to say after Benito signed the contract, he's diminished. I'm going to throw that right out, man. I don't think that's even close to the case. You look at where Benito started at the beginning of the season, and he was an absolute monster. And teams have had to absolutely game plan to him how to stop Nick Benito, double teaming, triple teaming him, to shut him down. And dude, you know, like at that point, you're going to see a decrease in production. Now you have seen Benito, you know, he did say it after the game this last week that he's recognizes he hasn't been playing his absolute best the last several weeks, right? So he's taking ownership of that. But at the same time, teams like one of the top things that offenses are trying to figure out is how to stop Benito. And it just comes down to like double, triple teaming him, right? And you got Cooper on the other side, and it's almost like you're forcing Denver to get the pass rush to come up the middle, you know, and solidify the outsides there. And thankfully, I mean, that's where you see so many of these sacks are coming from Zach Allen, Jonathan Franklin Myers, all these other guys. But I'm not going to sit here and say, Benito is diminished since signing his contract. I just think we're in the position we are in leading the league in sacks. And a huge chunk of that is because of Nick Benito. And now teams are having to find ways to focus in purely on him to stop him. And that's causing a decrease in production. Now, like you said, usually there's still at least one a game where you see him find a way to get back there. But I'm not going to sit here and I'm just going to respectfully disagree, Andrew, and say this is expected. We expected at some point Nick Benito's numbers drop off because the teams are going to be focusing in on him, and that's what's happened.
Yeah, I mean, he's a Pro Bowler for a reason, and it's not because he did something for the first 4 games. Like he is absolutely when he's on the field, he's someone that you have to keep an eye on, regardless. Especially in third and medium, third and long situations, you have to know where he is on the field at all times. Cooper on the other end is also collapsing it, and we are not doing a very good job of controlling the pocket. We saw it a little bit against Green Bay. We definitely saw it against Jacksonville. We're not doing a good job of controlling the pocket. We're doing this out of control pass rush, which is, kind of what Green Bay did, right? And when you have these, elite pass rushers, you don't want to tell them how to play their game, but you also have to not give the quarterback an out. And we gave Herbert an out, or not Herbert, Trevor Lawrence. We gave Trevor Lawrence an out way too many times.
Yeah, and he's one of those. He's exceptionally good at it, with creating with his feet, at creating throws with his feet down the field, and he's the kind of player that you hope Bo Nix looks like that in 4 years. And he's certainly on that trajectory because Bo Nix has a ton of talent, obviously creating plays with his legs and extending plays with his legs to make a play with his arm. But yeah, it's just with Lawrence, it was, you saw him too many times just get out of a pass rush situation where he maybe should have been dead to rights. And no cover, no NFL backfield however good the defense can cover for 8 seconds and then endure a scramble drill. It's too much to ask. And it's one of those games. What I'm most anxious, and really, unfortunately, we won't see this until the mini bye is over. But I'm most anxious to see how this team bounces back against a really quality opponent, and how much of what we saw was just the result of a long season taking its toll and a lot of winning games, close games with just gritting and determination-ing these games out week after week after week. Is it that it just took a toll one week and you bounce right back? Or is it something deeper and a sign of something more systematic? And it's just, we're coming up. I know it's a short week, but it's hard to say that we're going to get a fair test. Not to jump ahead too far, but it's hard to say we're going to get a fair test against the Chiefs as they are right now.
I'm kind of, look, I'm not in favor or ever hopeful that a player gets injured, right? But it's part of the game, and you got to roll with it. And when situations like what we have coming up this Thursday against a Chiefs teams that is absolutely demoralized. You saw what they did against the Titans last week. I mean, they lost Pat Mahomes and then their backup quarterback in back-to-back weeks to ACL tears. Dude, like, you can't ask for a better situation of going out there and the Broncos being able to get right. And to be able to utter the phrase, which is something we've never said in 10 years, the Broncos have an easy game in Kansas City. It's crazy to think about, but we can say that, right? But again, as long as they go out there and use this as a bounce back opportunity, work out those kinks, get feeling good about themselves. McMillan, go out there, have a good game. The defense just kind of work through with the communication stuff again, because they're going to have to deal with the crowd noise again, right? So work through that, whatever procedures they or fixes they have in place, and use that to prepare for the big game in Week 18. Thankfully, at home against the Chargers. And it's a game where we have something to play for now the next 2 weeks. We don't have to worry about, well, are we going to sit our starters in Week 18 or not? No, it's game on. It is game on. This is basically playoff season. If you want a bye week to get healthy, to get Pat Bryant back and all that stuff before you really start your playoff push, you've got to win the next 2 games, period, out the end.
Yeah, I think there is a situation where we would be able to sit our starters in that last week, but it's for a few of our, obviously the Chargers would have to lose, New England would have to lose, Jacksonville would have to lose.
Yep.
And with all those teams lose, then yeah, we could have a chance to sit our starters. But like the odds of that happening, and I don't even want to think about that. Let's focus on Kansas City on Christmas. Let's go to Kansas City. Let's do what we need to do. If the Tennessee Titans can do it and we can't, then we have some things that we need to talk about next Tuesday. We have a whole nother conversation that we have to have going into this. But yeah, let's go take care of Kansas City. And then, yeah, it's going to be actually interesting if it goes down to that that Chargers game, the LA Chargers game. And it comes down to that being not only for the AFC West, but for the entire AFC, who gets the first round bye. That's going to be a huge, I mean, it's really like a first play-in playoff game, and then the seeding we'll figure out. Then we'll have a lot to talk about. But again, we're not trying to press the panic button, and I don't think there's a lot of people out in Broncos country. We've been spoiled. We had an 11-game win streak. We had 13 wins at home, and both of them got broken. Records are records, whatever. Screw it. We need to get punched in the face a little bit, and this is the punch in the face. And it was, if we're going to have somebody have a bad game, why not have the whole team have a bad game? And then get it out of our system now, because we have a rough, after this, it's like, it's game on. Let's focus and let's get through the rest of it, and let's get to the Super Bowl.
Before we get into the halftime stuff here, like Jeremy does make a good point. We've lost a game in December before and won the Super Bowl. Not worried. If you look at a lot of teams that win the Super Bowl, they usually drop a game in December. Right. It's not every single one. And I'm not saying that there's a correlation or causation there or anything like that, but it is. It's just a situation where they can take a step back and say, we have to play our A game. We can't expect to win by showing up in the fourth quarter, right? We have to be able to play a full game. And these little mistakes are going to bite us in the ass. And if that means that we do that in a playoff game, that means we go home early. And is that who we are? Is that what we've done this, like everything we've done this year? The 33 points in the fourth quarter comeback there, all these other comebacks, all these other big storylines we're talking about. Was it all for nothing? And it's one thing if you lose in the playoffs, but you play your absolute best, right? There only can be one winner. You play your absolute best, and at the end of the day, you just came up a little short versus just not showing up for the game. Well, this is what happens when you just don't show up, and it's going to be very clear. But the fact of the matter is, yeah, we've had 3 losses this season, but this is the only time this year that we've been absolutely straight up beaten. And it's very good for them, I think, to see that before going to the playoffs. So, guys, we got the Kansas City Chiefs game coming up. We're going to talk about here in just a minute. More conversation coming your way. But first, don't forget, we are live. Not the pregame show. Is not going to happen. See, once you start,
this is the pregame show, guys.
When I go into the script, it's easy, but now things get thrown off, and I don't know how to start it.
This is the pregame show. This is what you're about to see is the pregame show. It's a special edition of the pregame show. We are going to get score predictions at the end, unlike we do at a normal Bourbon Broncos and No BS show on Tuesday nights. That's how you know it's a special edition of the pregame show with special guest Kev Dan. Kev Dan, welcome to the pregame show. Will you please tell the people where else they can find us?
Oh, man, you can find us everywhere. And David, thank you. You saved my butt there. Look, guys, make sure you're following us on all the different social medias, iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, as well for the podcast portion. Normally, we do the 1 hour before kickoff show, the tailgate talk. We're not doing that this week because of Christmas. Enjoy the time with your families. Enjoy the time off. We will be live for the halftime hash show, though. So make sure you tune in for halftime. I know some people don't have Amazon Prime and stuff like that. So if you want an update on how the game's going and everything like that, make sure you tune in for halftime. David.
If you live in the Denver area or Kansas City, you will get the game on local TV. So keep your eye on your local channels. Those are the only people who will get it. Everybody else has to watch it on Prime Video.
Yeah, exactly. And then Monday nights, we are live for the post-game podcast. We'll be back live again next Monday night at 8 p.m. Mountain Time, breaking down the Kansas City game. And then this show, the Bourbon Broncos and OBS flagship show, is live at 7 p.m. every Tuesday night. Make sure you're following us on broncosandbourbon.com as well. Go sign up for free now. This is the time to do it because it is free. And other websites maybe only about 70% done, but it is functional, and it's a one-stop shop to find all of our latest content, the latest show, the latest videos, the latest podcast episodes. Adam's doing a great job putting out articles over there as well. So if you, now I'm distracted by shiny things. But make sure you go sign up now. We are eventually, probably this next offseason, going to introduce membership tiers. And you don't want to pay for an upgraded membership, right? And I understand that, right? Especially when you sign up early and everything. So if you sign up on the website before the end of the Super Bowl, you will get a free upgrade to that membership, the next membership tier. Everyone else will have to start paying. So this is the time to go sign up, get in on the ground floor as we continue to build that out. This is the 10th anniversary of Bourbon Broncos and OBS, and I can only imagine how amazing the next 10 years will be. It's not going to take me 10 years to finish the website, but it's going to take maybe at least another year or two because I don't know what I'm doing fully. So either way, guys, go make sure you check that out. Sign up today, broncosandbourbon.com. With that being said, guys, let's get ready to go into the special edition of the pregame show, pregame podcast, all that stuff. Broncos heading out to Kansas City. First time ever, they're wearing the all white look, white helmet, white jersey, white pants. It's going to look amazing. There's no snow here in Colorado, so you might as well do something wintry, for a Christmas game. But Jared, I love how festive you are. Is that kind of how excited you are about the game? You're just all lit up and ready to go. You kind of look dead in the face though. So I kind of like, oh yay, Christmas.
Well, I'm upset. I'm upset mostly, Kev, because if this is going to be the pregame podcast, I have to do something first.
Yes. I was just going to say, do it.
I'm scared.
Hello again, Broncos country, and welcome to another episode of the Bourbon Broncos and OBS pregame podcast. We're going to talk about these matchups coming up here against Kansas City Chiefs, and we're ready to do it. I want to do that with the lights, but I broke this thing, so it's kind of anyways. Yeah, no, I'm super excited about this game. Honestly, coming off of a loss is tough, and we talked about all that, so let's move past that. Kansas City is down to their third string quarterback. You saw what Tennessee did against them. I don't think this is going to be a super rough game for us, and I'm really hoping it's not. I'm hoping this is kind of one of those like get our feet back together. Let's get some things bouncing our way. Let's make some tackles. Let's go get into the end zone. Get some Bo Nix back into his rhythm. I think all these things need to happen, and I think this is a good game to do it. And again, streaks be damned. We could beat that streak of not winning an Arrowhead, and I don't care if people are saying like, "Oh, it doesn't matter because Pat Mahomes." I don't care. Let's go in there. Let's beat the Chiefs. Let's get our footing back. Let's get Bo Nix back into his groove, and get ready for the Chargers game because that's really where it's going to come down to.
Hashtag sweep the Chiefs, guys.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah. I mean, go out there and just put belt to ass. Make this convincing, Don't dither. Don't show me that Sean Payton culture that this team is always ready to play a game, that they're always ready to give their best. Go out there and make those Chiefs fans have just a horrible, horrible Christmas. And they've already been having a tough year anyway. Just send them home with coal in their stockings, Broncos.
Look, it's football karma. I get it. We were blessed to have the 4 years of the Peyton Manning experience, and the football gods punished us for it. They said you had your time, you had your moment, it was great, but now you're going to suffer for a while because of it. The Chiefs have been in that. They've been riding high the last 9 years.
Higher.
Yeah, exactly. And now it's like they're, again, not happy about injuries. But in general, the way you see just other players playing, the way that things have gone their way or not gone their way, as you've seen this year. It's just, it's like as soon as they were treated as a regular team, nobody special, the whole organization fell apart. You've seen what Travis Kelce has done, and it goes back to the Super Bowl last year where you see Pat Mahomes throw an interception and he kind of just stands there and watches it all unfold. And ever since there, he's been on a downward decline. All these other players, this team is absolutely demoralized. You go in and you play the worst team in the NFL and the Tennessee Titans, and you look worse than them, right? There's nothing that the Kansas City Chiefs have going for them this year. If we're talking about, we just want to move on from that last game and look forward, they just want to get out of this season, right? There's nothing that they have to play for. Now, obviously, when it's a divisional game, you expect there's going to be something there. And Pastor Dan did say in a press conference today that when you're playing a third string quarterback like this, especially on a short week, it's actually kind of some of the tougher games because you have nothing to really prep for. You have no real game tape. You know, do you go back to the college days of that quarterback to try and dig something up? He was only out there for a few plays, a little bit last week too. So guys, Jared, your coaching experience and stuff like that too, like, where are these guys, especially on the Broncos defense, how are they prepping for this situation to make sure they don't go in there and look foolish?
Yeah, so before I look foolish with my statement, David, who is the third string quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs?
Boy, I am going to stall, and I'm going to stall because I don't know. But I'm also going to stall by expressing my, Kevdan, my nervousness that we are breaking the format of the pregame podcast a little bit by talking about the Denver Broncos defense first.
That's my true.
And yeah, well, and if we lose this week, everybody make sure to write to Kevdan and let him know that he is the reason why. Yes. And also, frankly, Kev, it's a little bit disconcerting because it tells me that somebody isn't listening to the pregame podcasts very regularly. Otherwise, you would know the formats.
And I'm not thinking about the format here. I'm kind of jumping all over the place. You're right. So, but Chris Oladokun,
I think.
Oladokun, yes. Mm-hmm. That is who the quarterback. Who?
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so that's what I thought. I didn't know if they picked up somebody. So here's my thing: when you're playing against a new quarterback, yes, it can get kind of dangerous for the defense when you're talking about like, okay, what are the options? And it gets dangerous for the defense because you have a guy like Andy Reid, who's obviously it's going to be a limited playbook, but he's going to have the guy with some sort of playbook, and you've never seen it. You have no clue what they're going to be looking at, what their reads are, what all that stuff is. Here's my like. Yes, Pat Surtain is right in saying that, and it's hard to do that. However, going back to what we said, 20 minutes ago, if we just play our base defense, we'll be fine. You know what I mean? Like, I think that we have the athletes to out-athlete who they have, and I think that the pressure that we can get on a young quarterback, is he a second-year guy, first rookie? Like, who is this guy?
Drafted in 2022 in the 7th round out of South Dakota State. So yeah, it's interesting. I don't know if he had, let's see, in his career, this was the first time he's actually stepped on an NFL field and played NFL snaps. He was 11 of 16 for 111 yards. That was it. It's really, it's going to be fascinating. Jared, at least, you play against this team. If you're Vance Joseph, you can go to your guys and say, we play against this team a lot. And if they are going to have a limited playbook, we know what their tendencies are. We know what this offense likes to try to do. And so we're just going to kind of take away their core tendencies and work from there.
Yeah. So the big piece here isn't so much like normally we're looking at a big picture, right? Like what are the reads? What do they like to do as an offense? It's now, okay, we play this team a lot. You know who the guy that's across from you know what they like to do. And you know what their tendencies are. You need to beat the guy across from you every single play, and then we win this game. And that's what it's going to come down to. And I think that we're going to see a lot more, going back to a lot more man going into this season or going into this game, because we know that the quarterback is younger. He's not going to be able to fit the tight throws, which means we can play the man and make him make the read. And here's my thing, and the one thing I've hated about the Chiefs forever is those pick plays. And I swear, if I see one of those dang pick plays and they don't throw a flag, I'm going to be so mad on Christmas night, and everybody in Chicago is going to hear it. I tell you what, that's going to be so angry.
I'm interested to see how the officiating goes now that Patrick Mahomes not in the game anymore. Do they just call it like they would any other game against the Chiefs? We'll see.
I don't know. I honestly do think that, like, if we just play our base defense, we place a man with extra safety help over the top, we have the matchups one-on-one regardless of where they're at. You might see Pastor Tan following, and then we just go from there, and then let our defensive line get pressure. And we know that they can get pressure. The teams that do well against us can find a way to slide the pressure or get away from it. We saw it last week with Lawrence. He got out of the pressure. He created plays. With a rookie or a third-year quarterback who's only gotten a handful of meaningful snaps in the NFL, he's not going to be able to play that pressure the way that other quarterbacks have, and that's what's going to win us this game.
Yeah. Right here, Andrew says Chiefs will have a motivation to beat us, and they will pull off all the tricks to go for questionable fourth downs. I think you're going to see a number of pick plays, right? They're going to try to, and they're going to be picking on Riley Moss a lot. If and when they have to throw the ball, they're going to be picking on PJ Locke a lot, right? I think if anything, what this last game showed is really invigorating the idea for all of our opponents that you throw to Riley Moss, and now with Brandon Jones out, you throw to PJ Locke's side as well, right? And they have to know that those targets are coming. And I'm not trying to dog on either of those players, but they just have to recognize that there's going to be more pressure put on them. But I think the situation where the Chiefs are going to want to run the ball to get them in the third and short situations. And if we can stop the run and, again, make this 𝐂𝐚𝐬𝐞 guy throw a lot, then, that's the position we want to be in. And this is a team that is desperate for turnovers. One thing that I'm shocked is we did not get any turnovers last week. There was that one close one by Hufanga. But again, that was the closest. So, this team is just dying to get some turnovers, and this is a great situation to do that, especially if you're doing more man coverage and stuff like that, I would think.
Yeah, if I'm Andy Reid, I'm telling South Dakota State, I already forgot his name, so I'm just going to call him South Dakota State. I'm telling South Dakota State that I'm game planning a one-read outlet type of passing game, and then on third and long, I'm going for the pass interference. Right, you throw the back shoulder to literally anybody. You know that we're going to play tight. You throw the back shoulder to try to pull the pass interference. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and they punt. But yeah, I'm definitely trying to pull in plays where I'm getting the first read open, and if the first read's not open, you have an outlet. So if we can cover those two things, and I really do believe with Pat Surtain, Riley Moss, and Jedi Barron, and even McMillan in there, I think that we can cover those guys. And I think we can cover them for long enough for our defense to get this guy uncomfortable in the backfield enough to either throw it away or throw it to the outlet. And then we know that we could be able to cover the outlet. And that's really what it's going to come down to. It's going to be a heavy game from the linebackers to cover the running back in both running plays and the outlet plays. A lot of screens to expect a lot of screens.
Yep.
Yep.
What else, guys? What else are we looking for this matchup?
Well, so we've got a little bit of injury news to talk about, as far as obviously Dre Greenlaw gets hurt at the end of that Jaguars game. And so you've got you're a little bit thin at inside linebacker again. You do get a little bit of good news in that the Broncos had a simulated practice today. They didn't actually practice, but they had to submit an injury report because they play on Thursday. Justin Sternad back to a full participant in practice. So they are going to almost certainly going to be putting Justin Sternad and Alex Singleton back out there as their starting inside linebacker duo. And then just kind of relying on, you've got Bailey back there, undrafted free agent. I don't know about Kareem Reed. I think he's still on the injury report. We'll see. But you're going to be thin at that position again. Hopefully it is a week where you can get out without any further injury to any defensive starters, and then just get onto your mini bye week and heal up a little bit.
What's the stat? where are we at with Pat Bryant? I have not been able to watch a lot of like the updates on where do we know what's going on with him? Like obviously super scary situation at the end of the game. Like
Right.
what's going on?
Concussion is the injury report. Concussion's what's on the injury report.
He was released from the hospital Sunday night, so he didn't even stay overnight there. I'm not sure, what signs he was showing on the field to make them want to bring out the stretcher. Obviously, as soon as you're concerned about any kind of neck injury, right, you're not even gonna mess with it, right? And I think that was maybe where some of it was. If they saw his head, look, I was in the 500s, and it was kind of opposite side of the field from me, and I heard it and I saw it. And it was that bad. And so if there was snapping of the neck or something, like they're going to be incredibly cautious about it. And so I know we're all just incredibly thankful. A concussion is no good thing, but it's not worse than that. And I would, I think Jose was saying in the comments, like he's questionable for this week. You don't even risk it, right? There's absolutely no need. We are plenty fine without Pat Bryant this week. You get him healthy. And depending on how he is, you may not even play him against the Chargers, right? You just save him for the playoffs. No matter what happens, we know we're in the playoffs. So you save him for that kind of situation, and we go from there. But that's the big one there. That's all I've heard about Pat Bryant.
Yeah, with concussion protocol, there's a lot of like levels to that. And when you watch that is a deep concussion. Like he was out. And so he's not going to be back for a while. And we got to let him heal himself up before we're not going to try to rush that dude back.
No. Getting the first round bye would be ideal to let him rest all the way through to a playoff game instead of talking about maybe playing against the Chargers. But Kev, that is a good way to transition from the Broncos defense to this matchup of the Broncos offense versus the Kansas City Chiefs defense. You may not have I don't know how injury decimated this defensive front is. I know Chris Jones is still going to be playing, but you guys brought it up earlier, and it's now kind of a question of what kind of motivation do these Chiefs players have when they step out onto the field? What is a guy like Chris Jones going to be playing for at this time of year? What's Travis Kelce going to be playing for? He's been talking like he's been thinking heavily about retiring. Is he ready to just get out of the game with his health intact, with a backup quarterback in there, a backup's backup? I don't know. Let's find out what the motivation is like for these Chiefs players on Christmas. You've still got Spags back there though, and he's going to try and cook up some stuff. I would say that Bo Nix has been fairly good at deciphering and defeating most of Spags' most nefarious blitzes and that kind of thing. But what do you guys think? Is this offense going to be able to move the ball effectively, do you think?
Yeah, it's going to come down to Bo's like focus. We need a game to get Bo's confidence back. You saw it at the end, the second half of that game, where you usually see Bo kind of step up and make the plays and find the open receiver. His confidence wavered heavily. And he was making throws that I feel like I've never seen him try to make in his life. That interception on the drive in the fourth quarter. What are you doing, man? Like, where are you at? Where's your head at? What were you looking at? What were you seeing? Those are going to be the big key factors. So we got to get open receivers, get him his confidence back, find the guys that are going to be there, give him 3 read plays, because I think you're right. Other than Chris Jones, the only thing these guys are playing for is that this is a huge rivalry for them. And I think that's their motivation right now is let's go out there and let's not lose to one of our rivals. Other than that, like, we got to be able to make the offense give, over to Sean Payton to figure out how to get these guys open and scheme these guys open to get Bo his confidence back that we can do this thing and get him some touchdowns.
Yeah. And I think that's a situation where you see a lot of long drives, slicing and dicing, death by 1,000 cuts. And we don't need Bo Nix to go out there and throw 40-yard bombs down the field on every drive, right? There are going to be situations for that, but I think we just need to see them be very methodical in what they're doing. The run game last week was really good. I think we were averaging 6 yards a run, right? So
I would like to see that number without RJ Harvey's big run.
For sure.
Though
For sure.
it was kind of boom or bust. It felt like to me with a lot of bust.
But you still got to get in that rhythm, right? And I think that's one of the things that we didn't see from the Broncos this last week is they never got into a rhythm. And even when it seemed like they were kind of maybe starting to head that direction, it instantly went away. Like once we saw that RJ Harvey run, I was sitting there going, okay, here's some momentum. They're kind of feeling themselves. Next drive, they go out there and right? Like there weren't really many 3 and outs, but it was like they get 1 or 2 first downs and then they just completely stalled. Right. So I think these guys need to get these really long, methodical drives, get a lot of plays in there, kill a lot of time off the clock, keep our defense rested and healthy, and just play smart, good football. And that's going to get Bo's confidence back, all those kinds of things. But you're right. Like this was a very uncommon game from not just Bo Nix, but a ton of different players. Everybody just seemed to have a bad day. Right. So let's regroup. Let's forget that happened, learn the lessons we need to learn, but then just go back to playing our game. And we've seen what these guys can do, right? So this is the prime opportunity for them to kind of get back into their rhythm before they come back home against the Chargers in Week 18.
Yeah, and the piece here too, and I hate to go back to the first half hour of the show, but real quick, everybody had a bad game. RJ Harvey, that run is the reason why we drafted him. Like that was an absolutely fantastic run. He was breaking tackles. He found the hole. He got upfield. He hit the hole fast. Like I was super impressed with the way he ran that. And that's like, if that's what the future looks like for RJ Harvey, if we can get that a little bit more, then absolutely fantastic for him. And let's be honest, RJ Harvey is scoring. I think he's scored in almost every game that we've played in the past like 6 games, whether it be through the air or on the ground. So he's absolutely one of our like stars on the offense that I think we don't talk about enough. With the absence of J.K. Dobbins, like I think he's been really stepping up in the role. Now, would we like to get the run game going a little bit more and not just in the passing game having him? Yeah, absolutely. But he is a dual threat guy that we have, and having him run up the middle and get that touchdown was an absolutely fantastic job by him. And if we could do that, yeah, if we could get the run established, and you, like you said, get those 6-minute, 8-minute drives, go down there, score a touchdown with taking up 8 minutes of the time, and then get our defense out there healthy. And then we have a young quarterback, new quarterback out there, and then we can get him 3 and out, and then get our offense back out there. And let's establish a rhythm here that we can go.
Yeah. And yeah, it's about consistency with RJ Harvey, right? It's just about now it's like, yeah, he's such a home run hitter. It's not, you don't want him to be a back, ideally, that is taking 20, 25 carries a game. I don't think at this point in his career, at the very least, I don't think that's what you want from him. And he's just kind of being pressed into that service because Jaleel McLaughlin isn't obviously, I mean, he's good in spots, but he's not the kind of guy you want taking on an equal workload with RJ Harvey any more than you want RJ Harvey taking on the J.K. Dobbins amount of carries in this offense. So it's just the kind of the trickle effect that injuries have right now. But yeah, it's even, I think he's going to have opportunities against this Chiefs defense. I think the Broncos playmakers on the outside are going to be able, I think Cortland Sutton has a chance to have a big game here. We saw another big catch from Troy Franklin in a big moment that was really, I don't know, maybe the biggest play for the offense on a day where there just wasn't a lot else to look at besides that RJ Harvey touchdown. So yeah, it's I think there'll be opportunities here for the Broncos playmakers to go out and show, yeah, last week was an aberration and we can bounce back and have a good day. Just go put it on tape, guys. Just do it.
Yeah.
We all know what this team's fully capable of, right? Like none of us are sitting here saying last week is the defining, or like what defines the Broncos. It was such a out of character game for everybody across the board that, there's nothing that I'm looking at this game saying, oh, that's going to be a problem for us, right? If we go out there and if there's one single takeaway that these guys need to have from last week is you got to go out there and play your A game every single time. And they go out there, play their A game. They should smoke the Chiefs. Yes, I know the Chiefs are talking about, there's a lot of jobs on the line, maybe some pride, when you're playing a divisional game. And they're going to want to spoil the Broncos fun too, right? As best as they can. But when you're looking at the matchups and just we were talking about momentum going in the playoffs, these guys really don't know what it's like to be on the Chiefs and not go into the playoffs, right? This is a very weird feeling for them. And you can see they had nothing against the Titans. They had nothing against them. So this is a situation the Broncos go in there and just redefine or kind of just re-solidify who they are and take that with them moving forward. And I really like where we're sitting right now. So there, it's kind of weird to be sitting here after a loss going, whatever. But that's kind of what it is. It's like, whatever, we're going to be fine
for now. For now,
the way it sits right now. But I'm also glad that the Broncos sit here and they have something to play for the next 2 weeks, right? They know that they are in charge of their own destiny. And if they don't get the number 1 seed, it's because it's their own fault. It's their own fault. So that's the message that they need to go into this with and play like they have something to play for. And if they do, they'll be just fine.
Yeah.
Jared, I'm going to get us into final thoughts here, and then we'll do our score predictions. And before we do that, Kev, you told all the people where to find us everywhere. The iTunes, the Spotify, the Stitcher, the YouTube. Guys, find us on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe. Helps us with that algorithm. And of course, check us out every single week on the pregame podcast. Normally, we do this, a little bit more in depth like we have tonight with specific players and matchups that we're looking at. So yeah, find us everywhere that you find your podcast if you like this kind of discussion and the matchup-based talks that we go through. I'm going to go first with my final thoughts, and then I'm going to toss it over to Jared. But I'm going to base what I said on, I can't remember which of you said it earlier. Somebody said it. I think it was Jared. They just got punched in the mouth. Yeah, there you go, Sean. They got punched in the mouth this week, and I may be misquoting this. I was just a casual stat that I read on Twitter, but I believe they said that every year, or at least the last time that the Broncos lost the third to last game of the season, and had more than 10 wins, they won the Super Bowl. So, and it may have been all 3 times. So it's now just a question of, well, then, Jared, that doesn't mean anything, but it does speak to the point that those teams got punched in the mouth too. Those teams got punched in the mouth late in the season, and they responded. Each of them got up off the mat, did what they needed to do, showed that it didn't matter at the end of the day, and that's the only thing the Broncos need to have in common with those teams right now, right? They need to just show it didn't matter to us. We are still the team that we thought that we were all season. We had a bad loss. We are going to win the division. We're going to win the number 1 seed because those are our goals. That's been our goal this entire time, and we're not going to let this stand in our way.
Yeah, I hate the number crunching piece of this, but I agree with you. And here's what I'll say. What I like about this is that Sean Payton has this team built around what is the next game. Let's focus on one game at a time, and we'll go from there. And I think that's what's really going to go out. And I think that's the mentality that you're looking at. It's like, okay, let's brush off this loss. Let's take our lessons learned, and let's change what we need to change, and we move forward. And yeah, there's a lot of people that. Like, I agree. I think, David, before you jumped on, I talked about how New England got lost a couple weeks ago and have been playing absolutely fantastic since then. And you need a loss. Like, we had 11 in a row, and we only knew how to win for 11 weeks in a row and 12 weeks with the bye week. So, like, let's go in there. Let's figure out what we need to do to bounce back. Let's change the mentality and go forward into the playoffs. I do think we need a loss, and we talked about this. And the other thing I'll mention, too, is last year, we were going into this position, and we needed to win one of the next 3 games just to make the playoffs. And we waited till the last game of the season to be able to do it. Now we're in this, like, we need to win one of the next 2 games to be the number 1, or we needed to win 2 of the next 3 games at the time to go and be the number 1 seed. Let's just go and do it. Let's just beat Kansas City on Christmas night. Let's all have a Merry Christmas. And thank you, Santa. Appreciate some gifts. Let's go out there. Let's beat the Kansas City Chiefs. And then let's see what it looks like for the Chargers. And let's go out there and just play a game. Let's go out there and play the game that we know how to play. If we lose the game, we don't get the number 1 seed again. Not the end of the world. We're already in the playoffs. That means we get 1 less week of rest. And we got to look forward to who we play the next week. And we go forward. But hey, it's a great time in Broncos country to be a fan. I mentioned at the beginning. I'll mention at the end. We are spoiled. We got the loss. Let's get it off our back. Let's move forward. And let's get ready for playoff football here in a couple weeks. And that's going to be an exciting time. I think these next 3 weeks and honestly, the next 4, 5, 6 weeks of football left to play for the Denver Broncos. And we're here for it every step of the way. Bourbon Broncos No BS will be there every single time.
Yeah. Yeah, Mr. Abiscus wants to throw out terms like number cruncher now, but that's cool. That's fine. No, noted.
Number cruncher. I like it. Yeah. So kind of off the cuff here, guys, because there's no pregame show, there's no tailgate talk show 1 hour before kickoff. We'll do the score prediction challenge now. It is open for you guys. We'll still take score predictions all the way up through kickoff like normal. Just you have an extended period of time here. But again, your first one is the one that is going to count. So go ahead and enter those guys now. Get some screenshots. I got the rules scrolling across the bottom. I do like Sean's idea here. David, I don't know if you've noticed this, but Mr. Sean has recruited you that if the Broncos do win the chip, you and him are going to go climb the incline together. So I expect, a full coverage, some live content or whatever as you're doing that climb. So Sean, good idea there for you and David to go do. I'm glad I'm not invited. I did that once, and I can just say I've done that once.
That is a really, really interesting way to confront my conflicted feelings about the practice of suicide and whether or not it's ethical to do. So yeah, no, that's gonna be. We're gonna have a quote unquote live demonstration, pun very much intended. And we'll see what happens there. Sean, looking toward it.
We'll see what happens. We got to win the chip first, and then we'll talk. I like the score predictions, guys. Look, this is a situation where hopefully the Broncos are sitting a lot of their starters by the start of the fourth quarter. There's just no more reason for Bo or anyone else to be out there at that point. Like, let's protect our players. We've already seen what happened. There's maybe been a couple times this year where we could have maybe not had like Marvin Mims returning punts, late in the game. This last game, like it was, I get that even when you're down, you never want to give up, right? You never see the losing team go out there and take a knee. Right. They're always going to try, but there's some situations like, why are we being too aggressive when it's too far out of reach? And you can question that if and that, but it'd just be good to be here in a situation where the Broncos go on the road, Christmas Day, short week. And we not only have a mini bye, but that mini bye starts at the fourth quarter, and Bo gets me plenty of points for the fantasy championship game I'm in, and I'm happy and everyone's happy. But these score predictions are really kind of in line with what I'm seeing, and I want to hear what you guys have to say first. But look, we've said it before. We've said it all game long. Like this is a get right game for the Broncos. It's just weird to think that it's against the Chiefs, but it is. And so let's see these guys go out there and do it. I know the Chiefs have a lot of pride to play for, but the Broncos have a lot to play for as well. And if you're predicting that I'm going to eat 28 Christmas cookies, I've probably already surpassed that number. I'm just kidding. I think it's been 28, but we'll see.
I think we should give our score predictions too here, because I think some of these are really fun. I love the 34-6. I think somebody said 40 something, like 43-17 or something, like 42-9 or 43. Jose said 40 something. I would love that. I do feel like if it's something with that low of a score, we're gonna see our backup quarterback in there. Jarrett Stidman's gonna be in there. And so I do think that this, like, if you looked at the Tennessee game, it was rough for the Kansas City Chiefs. I think they're gonna come back with anger. Defensively, I think they're gonna play decently well, but I think Bo Nix is gonna we got to get his mojo back. And this is a game to do it. I think the run game's going to establish, and I think we're going to try to control the clock as much as possible. I don't think we're going to score 43. I do think we score over 30. I think 35 isn't out of the question. I think 35-10, and that's with a couple touchdowns with a backup, or at least one touchdown with a backup quarterback in.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Let's just get at least 3 or 4 for Bo. But David, what are you thinking, man?
I don't know if it's going to be that high scoring, guys. The short week, the holiday funk. Traveling, I could see something closer in the neighborhood of like 24-9. or something like that. I feel like that's a little bit more where I am thinking this game is going to come down.
Yeah. I think you're going to see a situation where the Broncos are just taking up so much time on their own drives that there's just not going to be a situation where you see a high scoring game, kind of like what you're talking to, David, too. So I personally wouldn't be surprised if it's like 28-12. I think we do a good job of keeping the Chiefs out of the end zone. I think the Broncos maybe are wanting to save some face there after being touted as one of the best teams from, keeping other teams out of the end zone. They let 4 out of 5 red zone trips last week go in the end zone. I think they're going to want to try to save some face there this week, especially. So no touchdowns for the Chiefs, nothing but touchdowns for the Broncos. And we'll call it 28-12.
All right.
Very good.
Love it. All right, guys. Anything else before we head on out?
That's it. I got nothing.
Okay. Well, guys, let's save this last minute here to thank you all for your support and everything you guys have done with us, sticking through us or by us through all of these years, 10 years of coverage of the Broncos. I've mentioned it a couple times, but we'll start pushing it again now. The end of the season fan appreciation show. We will be doing that yet again. And you can bet it's going to be just as fun, if not more fun, as we celebrate our 10th season, as I've mentioned about 10 or 20 or 30 times. But make sure you guys are aware of that. We'll give you some information. It's after whenever the Broncos are done for the year. It could be in February. We'll see. But we will be doing that show and recognizing you guys and thanking you guys and doing a whole bunch of prize giveaways and everything at the end of the year. So just thank you for all of that. Make sure if you're traveling, stay safe, enjoy time with your friends and family. Merry Christmas, happy holidays. You guys are fantastic. We will be back here Thursday night for another episode of the Bourbon Broncos No BS Halftime Hash. So don't panic if you don't see any tailgate talk show. We're going to skip that one this week and go right into the halftime hash when that starts. But otherwise, guys, thank you very much. Thank you for everything, your comments and whatnot, your support. Jared, David, guys, you're fantastic. Jared's trying to fix the lights on his sweater. He's not even listening to me anymore, and that's kind of for the par. He usually tunes out about halfway through me talking anyway. So, no, thank you guys very much. Appreciate your guys' support there. With that being said, guys, I have nothing left to say other than end the show as we always do on a very strong Go Broncos!
Go Broncos!
We'll see you guys Thursday. Take care.
Do what I like, yeah, I do what I like, yeah, I do what I like. Sip and go, sip is right.